Yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy FunSize, and today we are taking on the 6th stage of the GT Edition Ultimate Red Zone. And as you can see, we're bringing one of my favorite teams here, the superhero team led by Piccolo, and we're bringing the Blue Fusions and the Gammas, and as you can see, our STR Piccolo here, and we're using no items, as per usual. So, without further ado, let's jump in, boys. Alright, we are now in the event. And our rotation is it's looking okay. It's not too bad. At least we got the boys ready to go, the Blue Fusions right away. So then now we can fix our rotations and make them do what we need them to do. Could they die? Yes. Will they? Probably not, especially if they get supers and all that. So I think they'll be okay. Also, Vegito is just chilling in last slot, so like I said, I don't think they're gonna have any problems or anything, especially since this is literally just the first stage. But hey, Shadow Dragons are sneaky, okay? Just thought I'd point that out. So, question for you guys. What do you guys think of the 8th anniversary? Or at least, well, for my global viewers, you guys haven't had it yet, in which case, the next series that comes after this Red Zone situation, my next thing that's coming out is going to be the Shadow Dragons, no iteming all the Shadow Dragons and everything. And it's in perfect timing because you guys are getting the 8th anniversary very soon. Within the next few weeks or so, next 2 or 3 weeks, and then you guys get the 8th anniversary. In which case, the 8th anniversary is going to be very fun. Just gonna tell you that now. I mean, my channel is somewhat of a testament to that. Excuse me. Gamma1 decided he wanted to do his intro, and so did Piccolo. But my channel is a bit of a testament to that, and that's because that's when I started my channel, which was the 8th anniversary for JP. And I'll tell you, I've had a lot of fun since then, and everything that I do is obviously since that time, right? We've been just kind of slowly building and doing what we can do. But all in all, for those of you that were struggling with Red Zone or anything like that, summon on those banners for sure. They are unbelievable with their value. Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 come back for you guys, so that's a big plus. And then the new units themselves are very, very strong. And for those of you that have kept up with my channel, also understand how strong the 8th anniversary units actually are, because they just do a lot. Okay, they revive, they stack defensively, or at least one of them does, and then in my opinion they are going to be in the game for a good while. They're not gonna fall off too quickly, and I'm waiting for that day to happen, not in the sense of like I'm praying on its downfall or anything, but I'm just very curious as to what the units are going to look like when those units that were once considered the cream of the crop are no longer good. I want to know what the game looks like then, because that's usually what ends up happening, right? We get like some sort of power creep, or we get more units that are just fundamentally better, because that's exactly what happened with the 7th anniversary. The 7th anniversary was great in my opinion, but the units themselves were really good at that point because we had never seen anything like that. But now that we have, it's a little different now. That's why the 8th anniversary units, in my opinion, were so much crazier, because, well, as far as long term goes, for example, even the debate between as to whether or not the Goku and Vegeta that are Super Saiyans, Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, as to whether or not that unit's actually good or not. There's a lot of back and forth among the community, because they feel like the initial form of the Goku and Vegeta, yeah, they do a lot of damage, but they don't do anything else. Like, they just die. In which case, I can agree to a point. Like, I can say, yes, that can happen, but at the same time, if you give them a long enough of an event, there we go. If you give them long enough of an event, they are just going to keep stacking defense very, very quickly. So, I mean, yeah, if early on they could die, but later on it's going to become harder and harder and harder for them to die. In which case, in the long term, they're a good unit. Okay, they're good. And then the GT boys, the little Goku and the Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, they're just ridiculous if you ask me, because that damage reduction is really what counts more than anything. And the fact that they raise their defense on Super. Okay, so once they raise their defense and they have the damage reduction, they're not taking a whole lot of damage. And even if they were to take a lot of damage, that damage is then cut immediately in half, and then we have to go from there. So that's why they're so strong defensively as well. I mean, they're not like ridiculously strong defensively, but they're strong enough to where you'll live. You can survive, and then that actually makes their mechanic useful so that you can revive, drop the nuke, and do all of this other stuff, and they're stacking. So those units, in my opinion, are better than the 7th anniversary units by a mile. Like, they're better. However, they didn't add something to the game that basically says, oh, you need these units, and if you don't have them, you're cooked. I mean, other than a couple of events that were really small, they weren't like something like Red Zone. Red Zone said, hey, if you don't got these units and all of these other units that are coming out after, you're not winning. Because Red Zone basically completely irrelevated. Is that the right word? Irrelevant? Like, irrelevated? I don't know. It made 90% of the game irrelevant. 90%. Like, that's a big number. Going from some of your favorite cards that you would normally use on hard events like Super Battle Road or whatever at the time, and then going to Red Zone and then they get smashed. That's that's a bit wild, you know? Like, I think that's why people value the 7th anniversary over anything else, because it brought something to the game that was so hard. It was so hard that it was like, dude, we have to have an entire new meta based around this event. And now we have characters that completely walk through Red Zone no problem, as you see here. And that's just the way it is now. That's just the way it is. So I'm curious as to what's going to happen on 9th anniversary. Is it going to be more power creep? Or is this event, or these events, Red Zone, basically what is going to become the new normal, the staple? I mean, it already has to a point, but are we just going to get more characters that can do this, and then you can have fun with it and just do it that way? Or are they going to release more missions? What are they going to do? That's what I want to know, what they're going to do with Red Zone more than anything. Like, are you guys going to release more missions so that we can have more challenges for Red Zone, so that we can actually use other characters, which would, as far as longevity goes for you guys, be able to come out with new characters that fit those missions and make them easier? Because at first it's going to be horrible, especially for some of these teams that don't have a whole lot of support nowadays, and or have not caught up with the meta yet. Because the meta right now is you got to be able to tank with damage reduction, guard, dodge, something. You got to have some sort of defensive ability, if not multiple, and then super 3 to 4 times. And if you're not doing that, it needs to be one really hard super. Like one ridiculous, like, oh, that's 15 million right there. And then he could follow that up with a potential or hidden potential, and then he transforms. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, we're getting to a point now with these cards that are just doing a lot. Even the fusions here, once they transform, they can't be touched. They're dodge, right? And then their defense is high enough at staple. Once you've given them enough supers, they're at like what, 400,000, and then they raise their defense every time they super, and they super 500 times. Like, that's what we're at now. So unless we're bringing in more characters that are like this to basically add missions to the game for Red Zone, or they come out with something even more ridiculous that is going to basically make all of these units look like garbage, which I don't know if is a good idea. I don't know. I don't know if every year is a good idea to have massive power creep. I don't think that's a good idea, because then we're gonna have units that are doing 20 million and it doesn't mean anything. You know, we're gonna go from we went from a place where we were doing 2 million attack stats, and we're like, oh, not bad, not bad. And then 5 million was like, whoa. And then 10 million was like, whoa. And then after that, it was like, oh, if he's not doing 10 million, I don't know. Is he good? Like, it's so funny to me to see where this game has progressed so rapidly. I mean, not really rapidly, but comparative to other things that would change, this is changing. It's on a good pace. Maybe even slower than I'd like it to be sometimes, as far as releases go, because 2 weeks or more, with like 2 weeks for a unit, I think would be fine. 2 to 3 weeks, people get paid within 2 weeks. If they choose whether or not they want to spend on the banner or pay bills, I mean, that's what it comes down to. But having a celebration that lasts basically like a month, and then you get a new Dokkan Fest or something else, like, I feel like it's a little slow, especially for certain particular archetypes of characters. But that's just me, though. That's just me. This is just my opinion. But all in all rambling aside and everything, you guys are going to have fun with the 8th anniversary. Comparatively, though, the worldwide celebration was the best celebration, I think, in my opinion, to ever happen to Dokkan. Because we had the Cooler, we had the Goku, good units, very strong. Now, were the units following that in part 2 a little undertuned? Yes, I think they were, because they were not as good as the first 2. So nobody really felt bad that they didn't get the other 2, but at the same time, they weren't bad units to have at the time. So it was like, well, maybe. So me personally, I feel like they could have made them way stronger, especially since what cards they were. Like, Goku and Vegeta should have been much more defensively sound. They should have been hitting, boy. They should have been hitting. Now, don't get me wrong, like, as far as offense goes, they weren't bad, but they weren't that good either. Like, they weren't crazy. In which case, they should have been. They really should have been, because not anniversary. I was gonna say anniversary, but that celebration was really good up until that point when the part 2s came out and they were just kind of underwhelming. But even with them being underwhelming, it was still a good celebration. Okay, that's in my opinion. Like, the format was good. I was kind of iffy about it at first, but then I realized what those characters actually meant. Like, if the Cooler was as good as the Goku was, as far as like what he could actually do, how much damage he was putting up, and how defensive he was, how good his utility was, and all that. Like, if he was just on par with that Goku at the time, nobody would have had a problem. Nobody would have had a problem. But Cooler was so much weaker than the Goku was. And yes, it was a 200% lead. That's great. That's what that means. But at the same time, it's like, it's really not all that. Really not all that. And it was just unfortunate. But we take our dubs where we can, right? And that's what we're about to do here. We're about to just take our dub as we see fit. And there it is. Boom. That was a 6th stage of Ultimate GT Red Zone, right? But if you guys enjoyed the video and all that good stuff, please don't forget to drop a like, comment, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts as far as how you guys feel about the anniversary, how you guys feel about the 7th anniversary. Was I wrong for criticizing the 7th anniversary as much as I did to a point? I mean, I'm on its side, but at the same time, it had its flaws, and people don't like to give credit to especially the 8th anniversary or anything after that. They're always coming back to that just because of Red Zone. I mean, yes, it was a great addition to the game and all of that, but it also kind of made everything kind of broken and made it a weird thing with like a power dynamic within the game and balancing. But ultimately, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to drop a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!